everybody. This is Teentsy Vintage. I am Teresa. Welcome back, or welcome if you're new here. Today we're going to be making a mini junk journal out of a piece of junk mail that got sent to me the other day. A lot of credit cards like to send mail to me, and I'm like, guys, it's not going to happen. But this little booklet was cool. It's pretty small, but it was long, and I was like, I could fold these pages over and have some variety in a tiny book, which is always fun. I could not find my bone folder for the life of me, so I just got my trusty scissors and said, okay, we'll use the edge of the scissors instead. So, you know what? Sometimes you just got to go with the flow, and here I am going with what works. And now that I'm sitting back at my desk and editing this video, I found my bone folder. It's literally right in front of me in a jar of pencils. It's just turned to the narrow side, and my eye just didn't see it the other day. Anyway, good times. Okay, now I'm trying to figure out, all right, I want to make the cover a little bit longer than the interior pages. And I'm taking a measurement here. I usually don't worry about measurements, but I'm measuring here just because I want to have the front and back covers equal. So I've got 1.5 inches here, and I'm going to go to the back cover, and I'm going to fold it over and also have it be 1.5 inches away from the spine or the middle. Okay, now there's our mini book. We're going to put some gesso on this cover. Whatever gesso you've got is great. We're putting gesso on it for a couple reasons. One, I want to cover up the advertising. And two, I want to give the paint something to stick to. If I put paint on this, it'll go on there, but I don't feel like it would hold on very well. It would probably flake off. Who knows? The gesso gives the paper a little bit of a tooth, so to say. It's just a way to make sure that whatever I put down next will stay. Oh, and the third thing about gesso is it's going to give some texture, which is great because this is glossy paper. It doesn't have any texture at all. And I want my little mini journal to be kind of grungy and interesting. Smooth is great, but give me texture. I like texture. It's interesting. It feels interesting. And you can get different results than you would otherwise. Also, we're not going for perfect here. I want to make sure everything's nice and dry. I am taking whatever's left on this old gift card and kind of smushing it onto the cover here just to give it even more texture. You want to make sure that your gesso is dry before you start painting on top of it because it will mix with the paint and make it lighter, just like white paint. Which, if you want that, great. But if you don't, you want to make sure it's dry. So I'm going to pull out some paint here. It's Dina Wakley in a color called Ruby. This is a heavy body acrylic craft paint. Now that I'm looking at this page, I'm like, you know what? I probably should have put some gesso on the part that folds under too. I thought about making it a little pocket, but then I was like, wait, I think I'm just going to make it a fold out. So we're going to add a little more gesso and smash it on there with that gift card, and we're going to dry it. There we go. You can use a hair dryer, you can use a heat tool like this one. Heat tools come in different sizes and shapes. This one looks like a tiny hair dryer, but I promise you, it is not. It is a very, very hot tool, and you can get burned if you touch it. So make sure when you're done using it to put it on something that isn't going to melt or get ruined, just FYI. Okay, now to the fun part, the paint. I'm going to use a wide dry brush here. And I'm using a dry brush because, again, I really want to highlight the texture from the gesso. And I will also remind you that a little paint goes a long way. I'm doing a fresh piece of junk paper there just to kind of keep the paint off of my background, which as you can see is already a mess anyway. Yeah, dry paint, it gives this very grungy um, textured look. I think it looks pretty rad. Very intense color here, not watered down at all. You're getting interesting brushstroke looks, and just kind of putting it here and there. I'm getting most of this covered. There's still going to be some white spots, and that's okay, because in a minute here, we're going to go in with a different color. Again, between layers, you want to make sure everything is really nice and dry. And I'm going to clean up this little bit that was left with a little bit of water and a paper towel. Okay. All right, now our brush is wet. We're going to stick to the red family of colors, and I'm going to use this Diane Reevely paint. This is strawberry daiquiri, and it is very, very thin. So this paint is great if you want to have a translucent look, and I do. And I'm going to have it be even more translucent by using a wet brush. And yeah, some of you might be thinking, ooh, girl, that daiquiri color and red don't go. Well, that's okay. I'm just kind of turning the white spots pink. And I know it's hard to see on the screen of the video here, but it did work the way I wanted it to. And I'm kind of dabbing up some of the extra moisture just to help it dry a little faster. I didn't want this second color to be really intense or anything. I just kind of wanted to tint the pink, tint the white spots pink. Okay, so now we're gonna dry yet again. I know the drying part is kind of tedious, but the heat tool helps it move along a little bit quicker than air drying. You can absolutely air dry stuff too if you need to. All right, time for a stencil. And this is from Echo Park. The stencil is called Just Believe Stars. Okay. I think it's supposed to be a holiday star. I'm not really sure. I don't remember. I like it. I just thought it looked cool. It reminded me a little bit of the motif from the Big Lebowski movie. That's a reference from, gosh, almost 30 years ago. Anyway, it's got kind of a mid-century modern vibe. And I am going to use a cosmetics wedge to apply some Payne's Gray acrylic paint over this in just random spots. I picked this color because it'll be a really nice contrast. And I don't know, it's just a little dark. I was feeling a little dark. I was making this. Winter is coming, as they like to say on TV. And yeah, I wanted this to be a little bit edgier. So yeah, here we have some beautiful black stars. All right. And then I was like, you know what? We're going to do a few more just down the side of the flap. And I'm not going full on complete coverage here. I'm doing, mostly covered, but still quasi-transparent. Simply because I don't want to add that much paint. Now I'm going to wrestle this back into the package. I like to keep my stencils in the original packaging just so I know who made them, where they came from, what the name is, in case people ask. And as always, if you have any questions about any of the materials I use, please don't hesitate to leave a comment. I'm more than happy to answer. All right, so this is coming together. This looks good. I decided I want to round the corners of the inside flap just because I think it looks nice. A little more finished. And now I've pulled out my little box of red ephemera. This is just stuff that I've collected. It's, die cuts, little stamps, tickets, little numbers and stuff. And I'm doing tone on tone. My plan is to do tone on tone throughout this little mini journal. So the next page I'm going to make will be one color as well with neutral um, items on it. That makes sense. Anyway, keep watching. I'll be putting out more videos over the coming weeks with more of this little tiny mini chunk journal. So here I am going through all of these little bits and bobs and just trying to find something that will work. I don't know, for some reason I wanted 89 more than 24. Who knows? This little stamp looked cool. And I was like, okay, let's see if there's anything else here. I would like to get something that was a little bit taller so that I can do a piece that's kind of long, and it looks like that little coupon or ticket there. Yeah, I like this ticket. I really like those little numbers at the top. Okay, so this little cluster I'm very happy with. I need to put all the red little bits back. And now I am going to trim this white space off of this little stamp. The stamp is mostly green, but it had a tiny red cross in the middle of it, and I was like, that looks cool. Okay, so now I'm going to age all of these little bits with a bit of Distress Oxide ink. And this is Vintage Photo, probably one of my favorite inks, simply because I use it on almost all of my ephemera. It just ages them up a little bit and makes them look like they really are old. And it gives definition to the edges. All right, so we're going to start gluing down things for this cluster. And I kind of remember where I wanted things to go, but I'm not like 100% sure. So you know what? If you want to lay it all out and then pick up a few pieces, that's totally fine. Some people take a picture of the cluster with their phone and use that image to guide them. If you're like me, you get distracted really easily, and then it's like, oh gosh, what did I just have there that looked so cool? And then I can't remember. But this worked out, so I'm very happy with this. Oh, and it doesn't want to stain my hand. You can see I've got paint and ink all over me. It's just not art if you're not making a mess, right? Don't answer that. Oh my gosh. Okay, so now I'm going to take the still damp cosmetics wedge and go around all the edges with a little bit of paint that's left on it, just to kind of give them definition as well. And I'm going to cover up a few more of these white spots just to kind of, darken the page up a little bit and give it more, that ooh, spooky kind of look. All right. Now we've got some blank space here, and I'm like, I want to fill that up. So I think what I'm going to do is put a Tim Holtz paper doll there because, well, it's easy to use. They're right at hand. That piece was a little too big. That little girl looks like she fits. Yeah, and she's already black and white, which is great. She fits into my monotone, um, or monotone, monochrome. My one color look. Oh boy, it's been a week. All right, so now we're going to glue her down. Just use a little bit of this art glitter glue here and make sure she adheres. All right. Yeah, the nice thing about that glue is it adheres really quickly and dries pretty quickly too. So not stuck there waiting. Okay, time for a sentiment, and I'm going to use my snippet set number 2. You can get your own copy of these snippets over on my Ko-Fi shop. I'll put the link in the description below. This is set number 2, so obviously there's set number 1. They're both available there. And I'm currently working on set number 3, so keep your eyes peeled. Yeah, so these are just fun and odd things that I've cut out of really old books. And now I'm going to trim off all the excess paper and make sure that it looks nice and neat. Well, as neat as, I like it. And I'm going to cut the phrase up here a little bit just so it will fit in the space. That's the nice thing about these. You don't have to use them as is. You can make them fit whatever space or size you're looking for. Yeah. All right. And now I'm going to use my vintage photo ink to just kind of distress these as well. Just with the little dauber tool. Yeah. And there was a word that got lost. Yeah, don't use a fan when you're working with tiny pieces of paper. Pro tip. All right, so now I'm going to glue my sentiment down around this little girl. She's so cute. But yes, we're gonna put something a smidge sinister, um, shadowy white figures flitting about in the moonlight. Is it a ghost? Maybe. I don't know. I just think it's fun to juxtapose this sweet, innocent little girl and then something creepy about ghosts. Uh, but hey, in your mini journal, you can do whatever you want, and be perfectly pleasant. There's nothing wrong with that. All right, we're going to dab off excess glue. All right, this is coming together very nicely. Okay, so we still need a few more finishing touches here. Let's see. I think next we got to put the stopper back in the glue. And I'm going to grab a Stabilo all pencil in black. And I'm just lightly drawing underneath all of the words. And I'm going to draw some ground for this young lady to stand on. I got a little too much water there. But yeah, we're going to activate it with water and a very small brush. This is just so she's not floating there in space. She's standing on the ground. Yes, exactly. And I'm going to use that same brush with just a tiny touch of water. You only need the barest little kiss of water to activate that pencil. All right. And we're just going to define that a little more. Okay. Yeah, a little bit of shadow behind her. It's hard to see it here on the video. I've got some photos at the end of the video that you can see details much more clearly. Okay. So we've got out our Payne spray paint one more time, and just a tiny little bit, and I'm going to go around the edge of this flap as well so that it matches the front cover. Yeah. And I'm going to shush just a little bit there on that white spot. Just darken it up a little. Just going back in, very gently adding a little bit of gray. Okay. I think that's it, y'all. I'm really happy with how this turned out. I appreciate you joining me today, and I look forward to seeing you next time.